It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What's up guys and welcome to FPL Today. On today's video we look at my updated draft to make sure that if my team gets rated, it's looking its best. We'll not only discuss the team but other potential changes that could potentially happen for my side before game week 1 starts, like potentially going big in defence, which I have considered going into the FPL 2020-21 season. But on a side note, regarding my polarising video 2 days ago, it was something I hoped would bring entertainment to the viewers for the 2020-21 season throughout the entirety of it. Something a bit fun, but it's not to be now, so let's move on. So we start the video off with the goalkeepers, of course, but the goalkeepers haven't changed. So I could sit here and talk about Ryan and McCarthy, but I've already done that. So you can go back and look at my previous videos if you want to know why those two are in my consideration. Instead, I will discuss the keepers that could take his place. Ryan could lose out to the likes of Martinez at Arsenal at 4.5 million. He is someone I'm really keeping a close eye on. He played in the Community Shield and I really thought he impressed once Leno had picked up that injury when the season restarted. He seemed assured in goal, made some good saves and seems to fit Arteta's style and what he might want in a goalkeeper. Also, I do think Arsenal as a unit have been slowly improving and I think that improvement is going to continue. My concern is I might find myself wanting Tierney or Bellerin but not particularly wanting to commit to an Arsenal double up in defence. So Martinez is someone that is under consideration but is a risk that could mean I have to use a transfer early on in the season in a position I don't want to use a transfer in. Add him to Ramsdale on my goalkeeper shortlist and I've got to pick between those 4 keepers for the start of the season. It starts to get interesting in defence now as we have a back 4, at least for now, for the start of the season. Arnold keeps his place, but I've almost made this video with Robertson by his side. Robertson has looked good, ended last season more effective than Trent, and a double up on Liverpool's defence really does appeal to me. I look at Liverpool's side and their two £12 million options in Mane and Mohamed Salah and think they could be covered for 14.5 million with 2 players by Robbo and Trent. So that's something I need to think long and hard about because 391 points from 2 players isn't anything to ignore, and also it allow me to focus on the expensive players from the likes of City, United and Arsenal, where I think they just don't have defensive options like Liverpool do. The rest of the defenders still cheap as chips. Vinagre seems more and more secure as time goes by and we get closer to the start of the season in a very solid Wolves defence. Justin can play both left back and right back, and with Chilwell moving clubs to Chelsea, he seems a decent shout at 4.5 million to start the season with. Kyle Walker-Peters keeps his spot as my cover for Southampton's defence, as I don't have McCarthy in goal, and they are joined by Mitchell for now with 1.5 million in the bank, so he can be changed if I think this is where that 1.5 million will be most effective. There are definitely some 5 million and 5.5 million defenders that I am interested in, Tierney, Bellerin being 2 of them, which is why Martinez is also a consideration but a worry at the same time. Tottenham of course have gone and got Doherty, and Chilwell has gone to Chelsea, so there's plenty of players in that bracket that could be standouts this season and I might want to get in on the action with them. So when I'm struggling to pick out of these types of players, what I like to do is look at the stats from last season, and there's no better place to do that than Fantasy Football Hub. Fantasy Football Hub are offering viewers of FPL Today 25% off Fantasy Football Hub membership. The Fantasy Football Hub offers exclusive articles, Opta stats like those used on FPL Today, and a comprehensive fixture tracker that can help you climb the FPL ranks and dominate your mini leagues. So to get your Hub membership and save 25%, use the code TODAY25 at checkout or use the link in the description down below before the 12th of September. Moving on to the midfield, and it's a 3-man midfield still, and it looks very similar to the last video with Salah just keeping his spot. I did discuss Robertson and Trent earlier on in the video, and Aubameyang still firmly cemented in that starting 11 due to the first 2 fixtures that Arsenal have. As you can see on the bench, Greenwood is still there, Rashford may be injured at the start of this season and Sancho is still in Germany, so Greenwood feels like a very good pick, and a 7 million player is something I can just about bear benching, so he is on the bench for now and will come straight in game week 2. Again, the 1.5 million in the bank could be used to upgrade to someone all the way up to 8.5 million, considering the likes of Pulisic, Ziyech and others, but I really like the idea of having that player there ready for game week 2, which is why it is still part of my strategy going into the start of this season. The idea would be to bank a transfer in game week 2, and then in game week 3 look at bringing in some City players with 2 transfers, which I could potentially up to 3 transfers if I'm willing to take a hit. This is so hopefully I can save my wildcard, because I'm playing this game this season thinking something could happen later on in the season and a wildcard could be very useful, but also we know there will be a double game week later on in the season for Manchester City and Man United, and potentially there's something I might want to do in those double game weeks. Soucek has now come in for St. Maximin, and that's because he's got a very good starting fixture and he's only 5 million. Hopefully, after a few games into the season, I can find a cheap gem of a midfielder, you know, someone like a Cantwell or a Grealish, or someone that comes in at a very nice price that seems to be scoring above his price bracket. And hopefully the Opta stats from Fantasy Football Hub will help with that. So the 1.5 million could be used to upgrade the likes of Stevens or Soucek, depending on which one I want to use the money on, or Greenwood if I'm looking to get in an 8.5 million midfielder. And of course we've got the money there for the likes of the forwards being upgraded to your Kanes and Agueros, a bit of a hint to what's happening up front. I'm also very hopeful that Saka does start for Arsenal, but so many people have told me he's not going to start, even though he's played really well and seems like an absolute gem of a player. So many people think he's not going to start. It's got me doubting myself a little bit, so Saka's no longer in the side. But he'll be very easy to bring in. Before we get to the forwards, if you are enjoying this video and want more FPL videos from me, then make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And also, if this video helps, hit that like button for me. It supports the channel massively and it's free. And comment in the comments down below letting me know how many times you have done a draft this season. And finally, we move on to the front 3, and it's completely unchanged, which is going to make this bit a little bit difficult for me. However, Mitrovic is the one that is most at risk currently in my starting draft for the season. If I go cheaper than Mitrovic, then I can upgrade my midfield and maybe have a better 5th than Stevens or a better 4th than Soucek. Highest I could go would be around the 6 million mark for that midfielder. Mitrovic could also go if I want to bring in the likes of Kane or Aguero to the likes of Ings or Werner. I've already explained my decision behind Ings and Werner, so feel free to go check out my previous video, and they are pretty cemented into this side at the moment. But my worry with Mitrovic is his ownership is decent, and there's the potential that he could start this season as well as he did previous ones. You see, the main thing I want with my starting 11 is flexibility. That's why the structure is the way it is. Most seasons I've tried to predict what would happen right off the bat, and I've got it wrong. So this season I want to build a team ready to respond to the information I receive and hopefully keep my wild card for what could occur down the road, as we of course know that not only could we have an early double game week, but also there's a possibility of more cancelled games ahead. And I think I just need to get on some of those bandwagons this season to get my team value up and to not miss out on some points that I did miss last season. So we now move on to the EOV question of the day, and the question is from Ali Mohsen. Hopefully I've said that correctly. And he asks, is dropping Orba for the first 2 fixtures crazy? A transfer for a City asset in game week 3 is worth 4 points, and I personally don't think he'll provide double figures. Now, I think the first thing I want to say is you don't necessarily have to take a minus to bring in a City player for game week 3 if you plan for it. Of course, there's the wildcard you could use. Of course, there's strategies like mine where you could have a Man United player already in your side and bank the transfer for game week 3 so you can bring in a City asset. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's crazy. Orba is now a midfielder, which means he gets extra points for goals and of course the clean sheet point. And he is a very consistent player in the Premier League in general, and he is the player most likely to score for Arsenal if we're going to be honest with each other. However, Orba at the beginning of last season did generally score 1 goal and not much more than that, so there is a chance he doesn't score double figures. But with the fixtures looking as tasty as that, and with us not having as much information as we will have later on in the season, I feel like Orba is one of those players that it's best to have just in case he does well, because so many people are going to own him with those first 2 fixtures. Now, if you decide to drop him and he doesn't get those big returns and you've covered it elsewhere with different players, of course it's going to be a bit of a genius move, because potentially you have now got a better side than other people who want to transfer Aubameyang out because the fixtures get more difficult after the first 2. So it could definitely work, but for me, the safest thing to do at the start of this season, especially with the likes of Man United and Man City blanking is to have someone like Auber in your side, so you kind of at least try and stay level with the majority of the pack, and if you captain him, maybe even get ahead of some of the pack as well. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. If you have enjoyed it, anyway guys, that is it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video has helped or entertained you. If it has, show some love with a subscribe and a like. Get involved in the comments down below as well. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, sometimes you make something for entertainment value and you end up misunderstood. Still not sorry though.